Assalamu alaikum, shalom, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome everyone. We are going to continue with chapter 10 of the Celestial Ship of the North. Of course, this is the class that we're studying, and the topic continues to be the celestial origin of the Jews and the ancient Phoenician or ancient Ibaryath, also referred to as the Paleo Hebrew, the Canaanite Phoenician, the Phoenician Canaanite, or simply Phoenician Hebrew. But we know the Hebrew is a made up word, okay? So it's Canaanite Phoenician, Phoenician Hebrew, or ancient Ibaryath. Ibaryath, of course, Eber, all right? But anyway, and 7, 10, and 12. 7, 10, and 12. So some people call these mystical numbers, right? But of course, these numbers have a special meaning um, in the Bible. 7, 10, and 12. All right. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you have to watch the videos or read the book. Okay. Watch the videos or read the book. Hold on a second. All right, y'all. So let's make it do what it do. Page 100 and page 160. Oh, shoot, where are we? Did I fold the page? No, I folded, where did we stop? Oh, yeah. All right, I got notified. So on Rumble, I'm getting notifications when I go live. All right, but I don't get the notification on YouTube, but I get it on Rumble. All right. Um, let's start on page 160. We stopped, I think, on page 162. All right. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Uh, let's start on page 161 and we'll move forward, okay, scholars? So let's begin. The middle paragraph. I'm going to try to minimize my commentary for maybe 1 or 2 pages, okay? If I can help myself. So Jacob wrestled all night with the angel. We covered that, or opposing power till break of day, but his thigh was put out of joint. So Jacob, look at page 160, the bottom paragraph, when Jacob of the 10 was changed to Israel of the 12. So, in other words, when the ancient Sabian Moors, who kept time and reckoned reality by time, rather, and the stars, when they were overthrown, the original zodiac, okay, and the mindset of the people, they reckoned time by the stars, reality by the stars. They followed natural law, which is don't steal or do no harm, right? Um, and then, of course, the workshop of the mind, creating their own reality, no external gods. So that was the first zodiac with the Great Mother Typhoon and the North Celestial Pole region. So there's the North Pole, then there's the North Star, which is located very near to the North Pole, according to astronomers. And then there are the Northern Celestial Pole constellations. Of interest to us right now is what's called the Great Bear, or Ursa Major. And within that constellation, the thigh of the Great Bear represents the Great Mother Typhoon, whereas the North Pole is the throne of God. And our ancestors drew a circle around which that which is boundless to create, time, and everything else. All right. So I want to show, I know we've gone through this a million times, y'all. Just be patient, all right? Because I have something for you. Extra. I got some extra for you on this. Page 109. I'm sorry, page 9. Of course, 9 is feminine. 9 is the great mother typhoon. The circle at the top of the number 9, or what is the number 9, is the celestial womb. The line going down is the vaginal calf, canal rather. So we're on page number 9, the second paragraph. Look at what it says. Let's start with the first. At Sais is would be considered Egypt. At Sais, she, that's the great mother typhoon, was bespangled with stars. So in Egypt, the great mother is pictured as stars. Okay, and of course, this is where we get the blue and the white stars on what's today the U.S. banner or the U.S. flag. At Saya, she was bespangled with stars, and of course, the white and the red represents, if I remember correctly, it's Virgo. Virgo, yeah, Virgo. Y'all watch the video that I did. There's a flag thumbnail on the video. Is it No, Aries? Aries. I'm sorry, Aries. Y'all watch it. Y'all watch it. So in Egypt, the great mother is bespangled with stars, the Star Spangled Banner. And she gave her mystic message. Listen closely. I am all that is. I am all that have been. I am all that will ever be. And my veil no mortal have drawn aside. The fruit that I bring forth is the SUN sun. So we have our own sun, but there are many suns. Suns are galaxies, right? The ancients referred to the suns as fire in the sky. But through our study, we have also learned that the central sun behind the suns emit black or absolute darkness, rays of absolute darkness that reflect off of the stars, and we perceive it as sunlight or starlight. That's the first. Let's continue. She was called by the Sanscotians, quote unquote, the air shining with ethereal light, the air shining with ethereal light, the black rays, the absolute darkness rays that reflect off of the stars, and we perceive it as sunlight. Okay, y'all, now let's continue. She, that's the great mother typhoon, the thigh of the great bear, okay, represented as the thigh of the great bear, which is the Hermetic law of gender in its feminine function of transforming, reforming, producing, reproducing, birthing, rebirthing. Okay, there is no such thing as creation except for the hybrid, the Han Uman, or any other hybrid that you create in a laboratory. If it is natural, it is just a transformation of existing consciousness. This is the law of mentalism into into another form, or the life and death cycle. Okay, let's continue. She has been imaged as intensely black. The great mother typhoon, the second most powerful force in, or that is known, okay, that is responsible for not creating, but for all things. Meaning it's a part of all things, right? Gender is a part of all things. On page 8, 8, when you flip it sideways, is the mathematical sign for infinity, On page 8, listen to what it says. The Arga, that's like a boat, the Arga, the celestial ship of the north. The Arga was the primordial mother of all. This is the great mother Typhoon, and she was called the Holy Spirit. The ark that held the germs of all nature, that brooded over the great abyss, the celestial ship of the north. I'm on page 8, and the number is 8, which means infinity. Okay? She was called or is called the ship of the north or ship of life that bore the germs of all being over the vast ocean of the infinite. She was the immaculate of supreme heaven in which God was the ruling force. And in this case, God is the Hermetic law of mentalism. Let's continue. Mentalism is consciousness. Let's continue. Quote unquote. When God has been called the Holy Spirit, the implication has been incorrect. The Holy Spirit was only his reagent, his representation. So, in other words, this is saying that the Holy Spirit emanated from God, or let's state it differently. The Hermetic law of mentalism differentiates itself into 6 different forces, having different vibrational frequencies, one of which is gender, the Hermetic law of gender. Do y'all see that? So gender is representing mentalism. Everybody get it? Or in other words, the Father and the Holy Spirit. Okay? So when God has been called the Holy Spirit, the implication has been incorrect. The Holy Spirit was only his regent or representation, the second great being of the universe, the mother of nature. This is the Holy Spirit, which is the great mother Typhoon, which is a Hermetic law of gender. Now let's go back to page 9. She has been imaged as intensely black. Consciousness is intensely black. If you don't believe me, close your eyes, go into a room where there's no lights. Turn the lights out. Close your eyes, or you can leave your eyes open if it's total darkness. And what are you going to see? You're going to see total darkness, right? If you close your eyes, even if there is some light, what are you going to see? Total darkness, right? It's just going to be you where? You and your mind. Total darkness is consciousness, okay, y'all? That's why we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is feminine, and it would be likened to the Holy Spirit because it is responsible for the growth and development of the physical body and the personality. And the masculine part of the Hermetic law of gender is responsible for willpower, all right, and also the instructions that are passed through or that ascend through the family line that we're supposed to follow, right? In our case, we're supposed to follow the laws of nature, which are the Hermetic laws and the lesser laws of nature, okay? And these laws are the Word of God. Now, later, as we go, I'm going to get more into the Word of God. I should tell y'all now, but I want to show you. All right, so she has been imaged as intensely black, her bosom bare, crowned with the golden pyramid. Ha! Crowned with the golden pyramid. Remember that pyramid about which twined an immense serpent. Night and darkness belong as symbols to very great antiquity. Absolutely. Before the Solarites came in and took power. Remember where we started. We're talking about this because we're on page 160. When Jacob of the 10, this is the great mother typhoon, the circumpolar zodiac, intense darkness, absolute darkness, intense blackness, whatever you want to call it, right? So when Jacob of the 12, when the circumpolar zodiac was changed to Israel, when the circumpolar zodiac was changed to the solar zodiac projection, when Jacob of the 12 of the 10, this is the circumpolar zodiac with its 10 regions, a circle divided into 10 regions. So when the circumpolar zodiac with its 10 regions was changed to Israel, which is the solar zodiac projection with its 12 zodiac signs that replaced the 10 regions. So you have to remember there were initially 10 zodiac signs, two more zodiac signs were added. And this is where we get the 72, the number 72 in the solar zodiac, the 72 dual deacons. Every zodiacal age is a total of 30 degrees. The SUN sun will stay in 1 degree for 72 years. Okay, this is how they reconcile the transition from the circumpolar zodiac with its with its 7 stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear that make a revolution, a continuous revolution around the pole, the celestial north pole, forming a 360 degree square, which is divided into 10 regions. And the 10 regions are further divided into 70 regions or sub-regions, okay? That gets remixed into the solar zodiac. So now instead of having 10 regions, you have 10 constellations, 10 zodiac signs, right? Two more zodiac signs gets added to reconcile Aries, which Minnie's brought in. Y'all remember that? When Soot, the dog star, was remixed into Aries or Sabic Ra, Ra meaning the SUN sun. Keep Ra in mind. They gave Ra a crown and they put ram's horns. And this correlates to Moses being depicted with ram's horns in the iconography or his face shining and glowing with the sun, okay, or as the sun. Okay, so this is Aries. So they had to reconcile that. So they added in Libra, the scales, on the exact opposite end, which created two more zodiac signs uh, because Virgo Scorpio, which was at one time one huge constellation, was split. Was split. How was it split? It was split when the Greeks, I believe. Well, I'm not sure. No, maybe it wasn't the Greeks. I don't remember. But it was. Yeah, it had to be. It had to be. Minnie's and his boys, or at that time. So they added in Libra, the scales of justice, which created two more zodiacs because Virgo Scorpio split. They added Libra, so now Scorpio became a zodiac sign in itself. So that's two. So now that's how they reconcile the 10 going to 12, or that's how they got 12 rather, to account for Aries, as I just discussed. Now they need to deal with the 70. So now each zodiacal age, although being 2,160 years or thereabout, they make it 30 degrees. Why? Because a month is 30 days and a day for a degree. Okay, so let's go back to the zodiacal age. The sun will stay in each degree for 72 days. That's why, that's how they reconciled it, rather. Okay, so that's what's happening. Jacob of the 10, right? The 7 stars. Well, let's go back to the, so you guys can see this. See, that's why these numbers are so important in the Bible. Do you see it? Chapter 10, the celestial origin of the Jewish race, the Hebrew language, 7. That's the 7 stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, in the constellation of Ursa Major, or the Great Bear, right? The 10, that's the 10 regions that the circle 7 was divided into. And then the 12 is the reconciliation of the 10. So the 12 are the 12 zodiac signs arranged around the Maserat, which is derived from the second star in the handle of the Big Dipper. So we're back in the circumpolar zodiac. Maserat, that circle that each of the 12 zodiac signs are arranged around. Um, Initially, it was 10. And then, of course, they put Aries, right? Soot the dog star gets remixed into Aries. They put a crown on Soot's head, like the story I just told you with horns, ram's horns. They call it Aries. So they had to account for that by putting Libra at the very opposite end. Okay, y'all? And so now Virgo, Scorpio becomes Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. You have 2 extra zodiac signs. Clear? So that's where the 12 comes from. All right. So this is the last time I'm going to mention it right now. So Jacob of the 10 and 70. Israel, Isis, Ra, and El. These are deities in the solar zodiac projection. Okay. So Israel of, what page is that on? Israel of the 12. Okay. And then 72 for the 72 deacons. So the 72 deacons are in one, so 1 degree is 72 deacons. And now let's go to the circumpolar zodiac. The 36 degrees circle is divided into 10 regions and then further subdivided into 70 regions. So this is how that was reconciled. Does everyone understand? Through the addition of, or due to rather, the addition of, or the remix of Sit the Dog Star into the solar zodiac becomes Aries. So they need to give it an opposite end. And that opposite end is Libra. So they broke Scorpio, Virgo Scorpio up and added in the extra zodiac sign, which is Libra, which gave 2 more. Okay. And then each zodiacal age is 30 degrees, and the sun stays in each degree 72 days. So that's how that all plays out. Now let's go back. So we're dealing with what, y'all? Absolute darkness, and we're dealing with sunlight. Black rays, black rays. Maybe that's what they mean by dark energy, but that's neither here nor there. Black rays, okay, black rays in the circumpolar zodiac. In the solar zodiac, the black rays are reflecting off of the suns, producing what we perceive as sunlight. Okay, sunlight is not eternal, it's an illusion, it's Maya, it's not pure spirit. Blackness, darkness, the black rays, which are emitted from the central sun, is eternal and absolute light. But don't take my word for it. Let me show you. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. Remember, I told you to remember Ra and remember circle. as in circle 7. Okay, so let's go back to it. Page 9. She has been imaged as intensely black, her bosom bare. And by the way, black, blackamoor. So when we look at the etymology of black, we know that it means pale. One of the meanings, one of the denotative meanings is pale. Uh, I think I've even seen shiny along those lines. Okay, as in burnt, as in burnt. Okay, as in burnt. Now this gives us insight into why they call us black. Everybody see that? Why? Because our mother, our celestial mother, has been imaged as intensely black, crowned with the golden image. I'm sorry, crowned with the golden pyramid. Remember the pyramid. Okay, we talk about a circle and a pyramid, about which twined an immense serpent. Serpent. Remember serpent. Night and darkness belong as symbols to a very great antiquity. How great of an antiquity? It's uncountable and unknowable. Night and darkness belong as symbols to a very great antiquity. What's that very great antiquity? The Sabian Moors, the original people. Those of us who are sprung from the soil who are not hybrid. Okay? This is what it's talking about. In contradistinction to the hybrid and the solar zodiac projection. Okay? Listen, a superabundance of darkness metaphysically is light. So I often wonder, now I don't know, but I often wonder, is if our ancestors were themselves calling themselves black Amors with reference to the great mother typhoon, saying that I am a son of the great mother typhoon. Night and darkness, a superabundance of darkness metaphysically is light. So they were saying, I'm light. Well, I don't know, I wasn't there, but this is my suspicions, what I think about. And then, see, that cannot be taken away from you. That's your attribute. It cannot be taken away from you. But what could happen? Well, someone could exterminate you, but then you're no use. But if they want to put you in bondage so that they can sit down and relax while you do all the work and while you do the thinking, and they do nothing but engage in violence to keep you uh, in submission, what could they do? They could alter your concept of black. Remember, pale is shine, dark is. Let me. I don't. I'll come if I get a chance. Y'all can do it on your own. Look up the. Well, maybe should I? Y'all look up the etymological meaning of darkness. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, so y'all can see for yourself because this might be a sensitive area for people. Um, so let me see what I can come up with really quickly. All right. I'm just going to Google search black etymology. It used to have a good one on. There used to be a good definition on etymology.com, but let's see. Okay, so the word black, I'm going to show it to y'all. Yeah. The word black comes from Old English, Blake, meaning black, quote unquote, black or dark, and is derived from the Proto Germanic blackus, which means burned. Remember the stars are referred to as fires in the sky, right? Black's roots can be traced back to Proto Indo European blag, meaning to burn, gleam, shine. That's what they meant when they were calling you a shine. All right. What you niggas doing? What you shines doing? We thought it was shoe shine, right? See, because they successfully changed our concept of what black is. Look at the bottom of the page. Do you see to burn, gleam, shine? And we just read what, y'all? A superabundance of darkness metaphysically is light. All right? Reflecting the color's association with absence of light. That's a superabundance of darkness. Um, let's see, etymology online. I don't think I need to do it right now, but I think it's clear enough, right? Hold on. So here it is on etymology online. Do y'all see it? To burn, gleam, shine, flash. All right. And here's the rest of it. Can you guys see that? He continues, quote unquote, to blaze, glow, burn. From root, hell, y'all see that BH and then the EL? To shine, flash, burn. Okay, and then we see swart. BHEL. So we know what EL is, right? Now let's go back. Let's continue, rather. What's it say, y'all? The same root produced Middle English Blake, which means pale, from English block, which means what? Quote unquote bright, shining, glittering, pale. The connecting notions being perhaps what y'all quote fire, as in fire in the sky, as in star, fire meaning bright, and burn dark. Do y'all see that? Or perhaps absence of color, that would be absolute darkness. Okay, and then you saw the remix when it's getting into complexion and skin color. Does everyone see that? Does everyone see it? So sometimes I wonder if our ancestors were saying, calling themselves black, as in celestial, being a son, a mason, my son, a son of the great mother typhoon, a fire, glorious, right? Why am I getting at? Why am I bringing this up? Well, you're going to see. You're going to see. A superabundance of darkness metaphysically is light. Darkness adopted illumination in order to make itself visible. How did that happen? Well, we just talked about it. The great central sun behind the suns emit black rays. And so what's happening? They reflect off of these stars and we perceive them as what we call sunlight and starlight. Darkness adopted illumination in order to make itself visible. Gave you a set of eyes, right? And you perceive the reflected darkness as sunlight and starlight. Is that clear? Out from the boundless abyss of darkness, acted upon by divine power, that's consciousness, the Hermetic law of mentalism, came the holy light. Not only the holy light, but six other forces came, or principles or laws. We call them the Hermetic law. Each have their, or all have their origin in consciousness, which is the Hermetic law of mentalism. Paracelsus called the sidereal light as astral, A-S-T-R, and then the Moorish appellation all. Remember all, Il, Day, Bay, and Ali. Astral. You see the all as a suffix. Y'all see that? Astral, A-S-T-R. Oh, that's astral. With the all connected to it, a compound word. So now we have astro and all, astro and star. Does everyone see that? The reflection of the great immaculate mother, this is the great mother Typhoon, the Hermetic law of gender, the celestial ship of the north, to whom the name of the astral light has been given, a name neither to a name never given to the father or fatherless son of the immaculate mother. So this would be now in the solar zodiac. They don't have these names. Okay? Now, let me skip over a page. So one page, let me get to what I want to show you. Okay. Page 11. This garden was placed, this is the Mount Moru and the Garden of Eden scholars on page 10. I'm going to read the last sentence on page 10. This garden was placed, well, you know what, heck, I'll read the last paragraph on page 10. The Garden of Eden or paradise. Before I do that, let me show you this first before I forget. This is what I just read. Did everyone see that? So with what they did with black was a defamation and a degradation, okay? Slander and libel of the great mother Typhoon changed our concept of what black is into something extremely negative. Okay, y'all? And I'm not going against Noble Drew Ali at all. I'm explaining why we should never call ourselves black. And the mechanism of what they've done to us psychologically, that's what I'm doing. Okay? Let me restate this. In the solar zodiac, the problem is the constant battle between light and darkness. So, what's your concept of light and darkness? Light, okay, sunlight, wisdom, intelligence at the first level. Darkness, evil, wicked, bad, crime. Let's go back to light. Angels, godly, kingdom of heaven. Let's go back to dark. The devil, cold, cruel, hell, ignorance, stupidity. See, these are opposites. So the light is heavenly and glorious, intelligent. The darkness is devilish, pain and suffering, burning in hell. This is in the solar zodiac. So Do you see that in the solar zodiac, black, what happens when it's black outside in the wintertime? Everything freezes. Will you not die? Will you not die if you don't have uh, food, shelter, and clothing, and something to keep you warm like a fire in the winter? Will you not freeze to death? And what happens when you freeze to death? Let me show you what happens. Let me show you what happens. Be patient, okay? Let me show you what happens. What do you see? This is frostbite. What color are the fingers? The skin is pale, right? Lacks pigmentation. But yet, the tips of the fingers, due to frostbite, are jet black and they are dead. The fingers are dead. The tissue is dead. Let me see if I can show another one. Here's another one. So, those of you who might be thinking, oh, he's saying something contrary to what the prophet said. No, I'm not. Is this not science? Understanding how the tissue or the fingers, the digits, become black? Uh oh, what happened? Oh, okay, y'all, that's the science. Different. You see the layers of skin? Okay, let me see. Let's see what else I can get you. Stages of frostbite. Hold on. Take a look. We are dealing with the medical sciences, right? Y'all see? Huh? Black. Now we're in the solar zodiac projection right now, scholars. So bear with me. Hold on. Gangrene. Y'all see gangrene, formation of blisters, gangrene, extreme cases. Okay. So hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I just I want to be clear for people who may not be familiar with why I'm saying these things. Frostbite. This is the science. Superficial frostbite, deep frostbite. What does it say? Numbness, hard skin. I'm sorry, hard black skin forms. So I want to show you something else. Read what it says, y'all. What does it say? Deep frostbite. You may experience numbness, joints or muscles may stop working. The tissue turns black and hard as it dies. As it dies. Okay. Now, this is just one instance. Hold on. Gangrene. Do y'all see the gangrene? Now, we're considering black, it means death in science. Okay, so we're talking about the medical science. We're not talking about astrology. Remember, the prophet said the half has not been told. And I'm giving you part of that other half, maybe even a big part. Have another look. Gangrene. What color is his toe? What color is his little toe? It's black. Oh. Okay, y'all. But we can go on and on and on with this. Ah, shoot. One second. I'm trying to find another one. Just give me 1 second. If it doesn't come right away, I'm just gonna keep going. If I don't find it right away, well, let's let it go at that. I think I've shown enough. So now, remember, the solar zodiac is about the cycle of life and death. The cycle of life and death. Noble Drew Ali gave us uh, dogmatic uh, religious stories and doctrines and traced them back to the solar zodiac, right? And he left, C. M. Bay left breadcrumbs so that we could trace the solar zodiac back to the circumpolar zodiac, the great mother typhoon, which is, in my opinion, I don't know about the other Moors, but in my opinion, Noble Drew Ali coming out, walking out of the waters. I think he has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land, and he has a woman in his hand. He's the son carrying his mother, bringing back the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, celestial time, right? Circle seven, clock of destiny. In other words, circle seven, the seven, the 10, the circle, 360 degrees, is divided into 10 regions, and then further subdivided into 70 regions, which are generations. Okay, and this is Jacob, as above, so below, as below, so above, the Hermetic law of correspondence. These regions or even generations become generations on earth. Okay, and then that gets remixed into the solar, right? With the solar, Jacob becomes Israel, and the 12, the 10 regions from the zodiac, from the circumpolar zodiac, right? The 10 regions gets remixed into 12 zodiac signs situated around the Maserat, and Maserat has its origin or is a derivative or is derived from Mitzar, the second star in the handle of the Great Bear, which is where we come from. Everybody see that? So to reconcile the 10 and the 12, they added the two new zodiac signs because in the transition or in the overthrow, let me say overthrow, in the overthrow of the Great Mother Typhoon and her son Soot, the dog star, in the overthrow of the circumpolar zodiac, they remixed Soot, the Great Mother's only begotten son, masculine, into Sevek Ra, and Sevek Ra becomes Aries. They put a crown on his head with ram's horns, and he becomes. And this is, by the way, this is why monarchs wear the crown with the horns. Now he becomes Aries, so they need to reconcile that. Aries needs another zodiac because, right, every zodiac has a zodiac here, and you draw a straight line. There's another zodiac at the opposite end. So they have Aries. They need another one at the opposite end. So they broke apart Virgo, Scorpio, and added in Libra. So now 12 zodiac signs. So now they need to reconcile the 70. It becomes 72, the way I explained a little bit earlier. Okay, y'all? So now let's deal with black in the circumpolar zodiac. Black in the circumpolar zodiac is consciousness. Black is consciousness. But like I said earlier, just close your eyes. What do you see? But you still have what? You still have your mind, you still have consciousness. Okay? You still have consciousness. And you can see in your mind's eye, right? Black is everything that is good. Black is both creative and destructive. Consciousness. Do y'all see the difference? Everybody see the difference? So they changed our concept of what black is. Let me restate it. Transformation, let's say birth, rebirth, reproduction, transformation, the second law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's already existed. It had no beginning. That's the normal state. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Consciousness has always been present. It cannot be created or destroyed. It can only transform. So this is the blackness. Transform it, consciousness being transformed from one state to the other. Consciousness, the Hermetic law of mentalism, which is what we just read about it on page 9. It is pure light. Metaphysically is light. I think it's page 14 where it says pure light. Let me deal with this because we're going to talk a lot about the circle. I want to tell y'all some stuff about the circle. On page 14, the Egyptians. Now, this would actually be the Kemetic people, right? Way, 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 way before the Egyptians. The Egyptians symbolically named God the quote unquote ancient darkness. Consciousness, y'all. Hermetic law of mentalism. Of this darkness, H.P. Blavatsky writes, quote unquote, darkness is the root of light. Darkness is the root of light. Light is matter. Light is matter. Darkness is pure spirit. Black is pure spirit. Darkness, metaphysically, is absolute light. So when our ancestors called themselves blackamoors, were they actually saying this about themselves? I can see that. But of course, I wasn't there, so I'm only speculating. Light is merely a mass of shadows, as it can never be eternal. Why? Because it's just reflected black rays. That's why it's an illusion, because it's a reflection. And it's simply an illusion or Maya. Well, there you have it. So where am I going? I gotta set this up, okay, y'all. Here we are. Here we are. Page 11. These are my go-to, I almost want to say go-to scriptures. Here we go. Here we go. Page 11. The Egyptians called it Sais. This is the Garden of Eden. This is Mount Moru, Mount Zion. This is the North Celestial Pole. And Proclus remarks, it partakes of a peculiar emanation from God. Well, the peculiar emanation from God is what? The Hermetic law of gender, right? The Hermetic law of gender. This is the Garden of Eden. The celestial North Pole is the Garden of Eden. The North Pole itself, the North that was called sacred, the home of the constellation of the Great Bear. The Genetrix, okay, y'all? The celestial Genetrix, this gets remixed into the solar zodiac with YHWH being the generator instead of the Genetrix. Okay? The feminine is Genetrix. And by the way, YHWH initially was feminine energy. When it becomes masculine, father, paternal, it becomes the generator. Okay? Because can't be a Genetrix, it doesn't have a womb. Okay? The Genetrix, whose 7 stars were the sailors who watched over and ever will watch over the celestial sea. So I'm going to skip down to the next paragraph. The abyss in Egypt is the name of the North Celestial Pole, y'all. And the original mother of this abyss, which was space, was called Typhoon, the mother of beginnings. There you have it, the mother of beginnings, the mother of the fields of heaven, the mother of revolutions, the mother of cycles of time. Cycles of times. Remember, we reckon time and reality by the stars, as well as the mother of gods and men. She was later made goddess of the constellation of the Great Bear, mother goddess, and her first son was called Sut, the dog star in the south celestial pole region. It is here in the mystical allegory born among the stars that we find the origin of the Immaculate Conception. This mother was called, quote unquote, the old woman because she was the first of all creation. Uh-oh, y'all. She was the first of the other 6 Hermetic laws to emanate from consciousness. And and the world had been made for her. This is, of course, religious doctrine now. From this early beginning developed the so-called Typhonian religion, all right, which with its types is the oldest of all. They all trace back. Now, let me bring this to y'all attention, so y'all don't think I'm tripping. The footnote reads, this mother of revolutions, isn't it interesting? The Revolutionary War, 1776, was called the producer and reproducer of souls, Souls, or gods, who were the self-born, listen y'all, self-born, who came from the cycles, who came from the cycles of time, right? Revolutions created by the revolutions of the stars of the Great Bear. This is circle seven. This is circle seven, y'all. The seven stars circling around the North Pole and the Pole Star. North Pole being the throne of God, and the Holy Spirit being the Great Mother Typhoon, represented by the thigh of the Great Bear, which is today called the Big Dipper. Now remember, this revolution, this circle, this 360-degree circle, was divided into 10 regions and further subdivided into 70 subregions. Okay, so this circle, imagine this circle right here, yo. This is the North Celestial Pole region, Mount Zion, Mount Meru. Okay, it's at the North Pole. Now imagine, just drop it down. Just drop that circle down. Now what do you get? You get the Maserati. Now instead of 70 divisions, I'm sorry, instead of 10 regions, rather 10 divisions, 10 regions carved out of that circle. Like if you have a pie, cut it into 10 pieces. Drop that circle down from the North Celestial Pole. Drop it down, and now you have the Maserati. Y'all see that? You have the Maserati, the belt around which the 12 zodiac signs are situated. So now there's a zodiac sign situated around the Maserati. Okay, but in the celestial North Pole, we have the seven stars that are revolving around the celestial North Pole. Do y'all see the remix? We're dealing with circles. Circle seven is the beginning. They just dropped that circle down and added the zodiac signs. Okay, this is the remix. All right, let's keep it going. So, this mother of revolutions was called the producer and reproducer of souls or gods who were the self born, who came from the cycles created by the revolution of the stars of the Great Bear. They were later known as spirits of the gods. And in another phase, in another epoch of time, in another phase, as the planetary spirits. So now these seven stars gets remixed into seven planets in the solar zodiac, which caused me to question. I don't know. Has anyone ever seen any of these planets, or have we only seen, like for example, seen it with a physical eye, or is it just speculation? Is it just computer graphics? I don't know if there's a microscope, a telescope on the market where you can look up and you can see a planet. I don't know. I have to check into this. But if you can't see it, based upon this criminal's record, I would question whether or not the planets actually exist. If it's just a remix and they created a whole story with literature and everything else to convince you that there are planets. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying what I think right now. Some of y'all might be saying I'm crazy. This guy is saying that there are no planets. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it should be investigated to see how it is known that these planets exist. See, because they could be bullshitting you the same way they bullshitted you about YHWH and Jesus, the same way they bullshitted you about the solar zodiac and hid the real and original zodiac and that whole story about how the solar zodiac came into preeminence. We already know that they make up history. They just make stuff up. Why? Why? To control your concept of who you are and what reality is. See, because whatever your self-concept is, that's who you will be. Nobody needs to put you in chains for that. Okay? Because why? Because from birth, from birth, babies are taught, are programmable, as what's his name, Mark. Man, I can't believe I forgot his name. Well, y'all know who I'm talking about. He does all the work on natural law. All right. So anyway, let's continue. I want to show y'all something. There's something I haven't seen it yet. Give me 1 second. Did I pass it? I'm looking for the page where it says our ancestors drew a circle around. Ah, here we are. I think I found it. Oh, yeah. It says our ancestors drew a circle around that which was boundless. One second. See, for me, I have to go through something regularly if I want to keep the page numbers in my mind. Where is it? It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite passages in this book. If I don't see it, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna keep moving. Okay. Page 15. This is something I want y'all to see. The seventh day, Saturday, was always the day of Sut. This is circumpolar zodiac. Sut becomes Saturn, right? Sut gets remixed into a planet called Saturn. Okay? So Saturday was always the day of Sut, Saturn. But when Sut of Sabian origin was turned into a solar god, y'all got that? When they remixed Sut into a god under the solar zodiac, Sut's day became Sunday. Now, who did that? We know the Catholic Church did that, right? We know the Catholic Church did that. So now we can put a date and a time on this. The Catholic Church admits that they are the ones that changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. Let me read it again. The seventh day, Saturday, was always the day of Sut, Saturn, but when Sut of Sabian origin was turned into a solar god, his day became Sunday. When did it happen? When did it happen? Well, they just told us. They just told us. When Sut of Sabian origin was turned into a solar god, his day became Sunday. Well, when did the Sabbath They changed from Saturday to Sunday. When did it happen? When the Catholic Church did it. So let's see if we can find the date. Now, y'all just have an open mind, okay? Just have an open mind, all right? So let's see. Let's see if I can find it really quickly, y'all. I should find the Catholic official website. Um, let me do it that way. Let me see if I can find it on there. Let's see. Let's see, y'all. Give me 1 second. So let's see, y'all. Let me see if I can show y'all. What does it say? Around the year 60, circumstantial evidence suggests that the Roman Church began to worship on Sunday. For instance, in the year 50, the Christian Church in Rome was considered to be a sect of Judaism. Why does it keep doing that? I don't know. Is my battery low? Oh, man, my battery is low. Hold on. I'm going to have to let my battery charge, y'all. Hold on. 1 second. Just give me a second. Uh, let me There's they officially acknowledge it. I read it years ago. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. Just let me. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me just. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I just want y'all to put this in contact, to have a timeline to think from. Okay. Let's see. Okay, y'all read this. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me see if I can get away with it without my battery. Read that. Hold on. What does it say, y'all? In its place emerged a new day of rest, Sunday. The Council of Laodicea decreed that Christians should abandon their sacred observance of the Sabbath day and instead embrace Sunday as a day of worship. This, uh, okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can give you the website, sabbathfacts.org. But y'all just search it. It's easy to find this information. So what is this telling us? This was at the Council of Laodicea. Hold on. So let me just Google search this. What does it say? It assembled around what year, y'all? 363 to 364 AD. That's when it was changed. So, what does that tell us? Page 115. I'm sorry, page 15. The seventh day, Saturday, was always the day of Sut, who becomes the planet Saturn. But when Sut of Sabian origin was turned into a solar god, when was this, y'all? Around, it was done at the Council of Laodicea. What was the year? Let me click on that. Where did I see the year? Ah, 300. Oh my gosh. You can't make this up. 363. 3, 6, and a 3. What is that? 9, right? How do you get to 9? Threes and a 6. Right, y'all? Right? The year 363 to 364. I'm sorry, through 363. So again, you have, I'm sorry, 300 and, let me say it again. Start from here. Between 363 and 364 AD. Okay, y'all? 3, 6, and 3. 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 3 is 12. There's your 12 apostles. Okay? And that all of that breaks down by threes, right? As we just saw. But anyway, and then 3 and 6 is 9 plus 4 is 13. What's 13? 12 apostles and one Messiah. 12 constellations and one sun. What page are we on? Page 15. What's 1 plus 5? 6. 6. Now, do y'all think that's a coincidence? We find coincidences like this all day. Cannot be a coincidence. So this stuff didn't happen in some ancient 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. This happened fairly recently, especially when you consider that these Christians added on a huge amount of time on their calendar. Then they just made stuff up, made up whole empires. Okay? They didn't figure out, let me tell y'all, my personal opinion, there was no need for a Rosetta Stone because there were people alive who had writings and who could speak and read what they're calling ancient Egypt. Nobody needed to. It wasn't a mystery of how to read the hieroglyphs, etc. They made the story up to make us believe that this stuff happened some 4,000 years ago. No, this stuff is recent history. Okay, and they're so smart. They no. These records were there. People spoke the language. They were able to read and write expertly, highly competent, and that's how everyone knows so much about what those documents say. They just hid it in the mystery schools. Okay, but anyway, in private libraries, in private museums. Okay, y'all. So let me continue with this. Unfortunately, there ain't nobody in the chat. What's up, y'all? What y'all scared of this? All right. So Soot, who gets planetarized as Saturn, whose day of worship gets changed from Saturday to Sunday in the year, according to them, 300 and between 363 to 364 AD. Okay, y'all. Okay. See how when you pay attention to the details, uh, you can start to see their lies. When you can put two and two together, you can see their lies, uncover the truth. So let's continue. All right. So Sut's day gets changed from Saturday to Sunday, and Sunday is, lo and behold, the day of the sun, sun. Now, remember, sunlight is an illusion. These gods that you worship are the sun, the sun, the reflected black rays of the sun in illusion. The real light are those black waves. So these gods that you are worshiping, these solar gods that you are worshiping, are an illusion. And their effects and impacts only happen because in the workshop of your mind, you create them and they become reality. Do y'all see that? Why? Because it's your concept of yourself as a servant of God. Okay? Your concept of yourself is a servant. And no matter how dignified and glorified you have been trained, just like you train a dog to salivate um, when he hears the bell because you associated the bell with food in his mind, you may be so unfortunate to associate being a servant as being something honorable and glorious and the highest aspiration in life to be a servant of God. Because your concept is wrong. Okay? Your concept is wrong. This sunlight is a reflection. It's no more real than when you go look in the mirror and see the reflection of yourself. The reflection of yourself is not you. Sure does look like you, though, right? Right? Sure does look like you. Does everyone see? And so it is with sunlight and these gods. The impact that you experience in your life when you go out, the eagle flies on Friday, you get paid, the eagle flies on Friday and you go out and play. Cheating on your husband, cheating on your wife, right? Doing all of these things that you believe are wrong in God's eyes, right? And you believe come with the heavy punishment. Now, I'm not talking about the natural law, don't steal, because most people don't know anything about that. I'm talking about mainly uh, the sex related religious crimes. Everybody can relate to that, right? The adultery and the fornication, okay? And the treachery, the tricks that people play in their whole quest to get more sex, to get more attention, and all of this, the using and deceiving, right? The devil is supposed to be a deceiver, an opposer of God. In other words, a reflection of God, meaning what? The devil is the opposite of God. But let me give me 1 second. I want to show y'all. I need to find. I don't need to, but I want to show y'all a couple sentences. The author brings to our attention that our ancestors drew a circle around, drew a line around that which was boundless. Around is the operative word. They drew a circle around the celestial North Pole. So y'all got to see this. What page is that? 11. Hold on. Man, I don't see it. Where? Maybe I'm in the wrong chapter. Here we are, page 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. All these 3 and 6s and 9s, and we had a 4. Guess what the 4 is talking about, y'all? The 4 corners. Remember? What was the year? 364, 363 to 364. 4 being the 4 corners, or the 4 stars that make up the dipper of the Big Dipper, which is the thigh of the Great Bear. All this symbology or celestial numerology right there in our face, but we don't know it unless we know the astrology of it. Okay, so let's look at page 21. The seventh, page 21, the 7 stars of the Great Bear were also called the bringers forth. The bringers forth of what? I.e., of perennial time and creators of the first form taken in space. The first form taken in space, something material. Quote unquote, thus time and space, listen, y'all, were figured as a circle, circle 7. Thus time and space were figured as a circle by placing a boundary around that which was boundless, circle 7. In the north, clock of destiny going from north to the south celestial poles, okay? In ancient times, the body of this constellation was called, in ancient times, the body of this constellation was nearer the North Pole, and the tail moved around the North Pole. The tail, he's talking about the thigh of the Great Bear, Ursa Major, okay? Today called the Big Dipper. So the handle of the Big Dipper would be the tail. Listen, all right? And the tail moved around the North Pole. It was said strongly to resemble a pointer, like the hand of a clock. Well, the pointer is a minute hand of a clock, a time teller, quote unquote, typhoon in the north. This is Great Mother Typhoon, and soot in the south celestial pole region were likened to the 2 hands of a clock. This is the clock of destiny. The bear being the pointer hand, that's the minute hand, and soot the dog star, the hour hand. This is why all prophecy is astrology, and all prophets were astrologers. Typhoon in the north and soot in the south were likened to the 2 hands of a clock, the bear being the pointer hand, and soot the dog star, the hour hand. Pythagoras calls the 2 bears, so the 2 bears are the Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, today the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. Pythagoras, oh my gosh, do you know what he just said here? Pythagoras calls the 2 bears the 2 hands of the genitrix. Pythagoras calls the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper the 2 hands of the genitrix, the 2 hands of the celestial womb, the celestial matrix. What is Pythagoras famous for? What is Pythagoras famous for? Look, y'all. Hold on. I hope it didn't change. What's 9? Let's see. 9 plus 2 is 11 plus 4 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. I hope it didn't change. What's the date? 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 6s and 9s every time in 4. Oh, 21. Hold on. Lunar month 21. There's your three again. Let's look at Pythagoras. Pythagoras. Of course, he was not a Greek. They just stole the man's work, right? What is that? Pythagorean theory, a theorem. Of course, this is not Greek. It's actually it's not even Kemetic. It goes back to the Sabian times. It's much older than Kemet. I want to let me see if I can find this. This is what I wanted to get to, y'all. This is what I wanted to share with y'all. I hope I can find. I hope I have. I was able to keep the file. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Imagine this blue circle is the universe. Okay, and look, there's a blue dot in the center. Okay, do you see the lines extending out? There are how many? Five, right? So do y'all see the X? Do y'all see the top cross? And then there's a line, the line going like this which would be the celestial equator or Earth's equator. Either one, they're the same line, just projected outward, right? The celestial equator is Earth's equator projected outward into space. So here we have Taurus, the head of a lion, Leo, the head, I'm sorry, Taurus, the head of a bull, Leo, the head of a lion, Scorpio, the head of an eagle, and then, of course, we have Aquarius, the head of a man. Okay, who's in between? The Most High, which in the solar system would be what? The SUN sun. You can look at this, okay? Look at the dot, consider it the sun, okay? Or if you're in the circumpolar zodiac, the dot would be the celestial North Pole. Remember earlier I told you about the circle? Remember circle seven? The seven stars of the thigh of the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, revolves around the celestial North Pole, making a circle. Okay, the second star in the handle of the Great Bear is called Mitzer. So just drop that circle down and call it Mazaroth. Okay, with the sun in the center now, is it clear? And the seven planets orbiting around the sun. All right. So do y'all see the top cross? The two oblique or diagonal lines, and then the horizontal line. Y'all see that? All right. So in other words, we're looking at what? Divide this into seven. Divide the blue circle into seven. I'm sorry, into 10. Okay. Divide it into 10, you get 10 regions of the celestial North Pole. Further subdivided into 70. So now you have the 7, the 10, and the 70. Okay. If you move this circle down, now divide it into 12, and then of course you're going to have 12 uh, zodiac sign constellations, and one constellation each is 2,160 years. One zodiacal age is 2,160 years, and it equals 30 degrees. 1 degree is 72 years that the sun will be in each degree. Okay, so the sun is in 1 degree, 72 years. This is the 72 decans. That's how they're reconciling that. Of course, they had to put Aries in the east gate and then Libra in the west. Okay, all right. Aries uh, is the Lamb of God. Okay, it's the entrance into the kingdom of heaven. It's the entrance into what? Where daylight dominates. 12 or more hours of daylight a day. Remember what we talked about? Black and white, good and evil. Okay, in the solar zodiac projection. So now let's take a look at this. What do we see? We see the mathematics that governs a circle or that describes a circle. Do y'all see that? Mathematics is expressed through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is algebra and geometry, Morse science. And our ancestors looked at this circle. Y'all look at the circle. If you go in any direction, let's say this is kind of a little bit hard. If you go up or down, each circle, each line has what? An opposite end. So here we have the law of opposites or the law of polarity. There's a whole lot of law in here. Hold on. Let me see if I can. So do y'all see it? Now imagine, let's see. I need a man. Give me 1 second. I want to show y'all something. I want to show y'all something. Today is Friday. Do I have a class tomorrow? Shoot. No, it didn't give me what I want. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. Maybe I can draw it. Let me see if let me try to draw this for y'all. It might be easier, faster and easier. Where am I gonna draw it? Uh, let me see. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's worth it. Be patient, all right, please. Okay, here's that same circle, which is the universe. All right, y'all see the circle? So from the line in the center, y'all see the dot in the center right here. So draw two lines going to the circumference here, and you see you get a pyramid, right? And then connect those same two lines, and you get another pyramid, right? So the distance between each are the same. So listen. So if you move the pyramids out, you will get this. Do y'all see that? Uh-oh. Do y'all see that? Just move them out and then connect them. These are the two pyramids. Do y'all see it? Yes or no? Do you see that? Okay, so let's go to page 38. The six-pointed star of the Moorish nation. One, two, three, four, five, six. One, two, three, four, five, six. Let me show y'all again. Everybody see that? This is the six-pointed star of the Moorish nation. Above that, we talked about the five-pointed star. Does everyone see it? Read the text. This is the page we're on for right now. Okay, that's when we're dealing with this at the top of the page. Okay, the squared circle, right? And the triangle 33.333. Okay, so let's go over to, uh, and by the way, he's talking about 4 quarters. So anytime it's 4, it's referencing the 4 stars that make up the Dipper. It traces back to the 4 stars that make up the Dipper of the Big Dipper of the thigh of the Great Bear, representing the Great Mother Typhoon. Everybody see that? So the 4 corners of the U.S. Moorish dollar represents equality, moral principle, justice, peace, economic and social progress on a universal scale. Anyway, that's not what I was trying to get to. That's just a side point. We'll remember dealing with 4s. Let's go to page 38. See, remember, the half has not been told. The half has not been told. Pause it and read it on the replay. This is what it says, y'all. The six-pointed star of the Moorish nation, referred to as quote unquote the Jewish Star of David. Now remember, the circumpolar zodiac meaning of Jewish, they're getting this from the second star in the handle of the Big Dipper, which is Mitzar, Maserat. Okay? That's where they're getting that from. Jewish or Judah. Okay? We went over that maybe 1 or 2 classes ago. It's in chapter 10 that we're on now. Okay, so this is what it reads. The first triangle represents the North Gate. The North Gate. Wait a minute. This is the universe. So America is the North Gate. The first triangle represents the North Gate, the summer season. Oh, the summer solstice in the north, right? Because the only place there's 4 seasons, where? Over in the north. 4 clearly defined seasons, the north. Winter, summer, spring, and fall. The sun, the sun on the summer solstice is at its highest point, highest elevation rather, in the sky, but it's well below the elevation of the celestial North Pole and even the North Star. Okay, so the first triangle represents the North Gate. The first triangle represents the North Gate, the summer season. The second triangle represents the South Gate, the winter season. So that would be the winter solstice, right? The sun's lowest point of elevation in the south. These two triangles together form a six-pointed star. Summer and winter, or north and south, all there is, as above, so below, or the 2 tablets of stone. The 2 tablets of, see, he's talking about the 10 Commandments. right? He's talking about the commandments. So I want to show y'all something else. Hold on. Page 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. The term Mason is derived from womb, man, son, meaning woman and son. The great mother Typhoon and her son Soot, the dog star in the south, clock of destiny. All right? The clock of destiny. Woman and son, the clock of destiny. The great mother Typhoon and her son Soot is the clock of destiny. Page 21. 2 plus 1 is 3 in the Celestial Ship of the North, Volume 1 by Emma Valencia Straighton. First paragraph. The 7 stars of the Great Bear were also called the bringers forth, i.e., the perennial time and creations. This, of course, in reality, this would be producers and reproducers of the first form taken in space. First form taken in space, quote unquote. Thus, time and space were figured as a circle by placing a boundary around that which was boundless. In ancient times, the body of this constellation was nearer the North Pole. You must remember that the North Pole is the throne of God in the circumpolar zodiac. In the solar zodiac, God is the SUN sun. What's happening? They just dropped the circle down and threw in the 12 constellations, right, with the sun in the center, okay, which is not emitting light as we have been taught according to astrology, ancient astrology. It's the sun behind the sun, the central sun, emitting black rays that reflect off of the sun or stars. It reflects, and then that reflection we perceive as sunlight. All right, now let's continue. In ancient times, the body of this constellation was nearer the North Pole, was nearer the throne of God. Remember, the Great Mother Typhoon is the Holy Spirit. And the tail moved, the tail of the thigh of the Great Bear, which is today the handle of the Big Dipper, and the tail moved around the North Pole, and the tail moved around the throne of God. It was said strongly to resemble a pointer, like the hand of a clock, a time teller, quote unquote. Typhoon in the north and Soot in the south, mother in the north and son in the south, mother in the north gate, mother and son, Soot in the south, south gate. Typhoon in the north and Soot in the south were likened to two hands of a clock, the clock of destiny. The bear being the pointer hand, and Soot, the dog star, the hour hand. The bear represents the great mother Typhoon. The mother, the great mother Typhoon, being the minute hand in the north. The mother is the minute hand in the north, and Soot, the son, the only begotten son, and the south is the hour hand. Pythagoras calls the two bears, that's the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, the two hands of the genetrix. Now, we're dealing with Pythagoras, Pythagorean theory, and the algebra and geometry of circles. This is where we get the triangle. So let's go back to C and Bay. I hope y'all are enjoying this. I hope you're learning something. And I hope y'all will share this video with others so that they can learn the same information too. So C and Bay tells us, and he got his information from Noble Drew Ali. This is what he says. The first triangle represents the north gate, the summer. That's the mother, the great mother Typhoon, the minute hand of the clock. The second hand of the triangle represents the south gate. This is Soot, the dog star, the hour hand of the clock. Let me let the brother speak. clock of destiny. The clock of destiny. Okay, we're in volume 2 right now. He's showing you the solar zodiac projection, but he left all of this information to help us go back to the Great Mother, the first and original zodiac. Okay, the solar is a remix. I hope that I'm able to show you that. You know, it's not what I wanted to do. It's just where my research has led me. These two triangles together form a six-pointed star. Summer and winter, or north and south, all there is. As above, so below, or, listen, y'all, or the two tables of stone, as above, so below. That's the Hermetic law of correspondence. Or the two tables, this is the law. What law? Natural law. So, what is this natural law? We talk often, you hear me say that natural law is the word of God. As above, so below. Hermetic law of correspondence. Or the two tables of stone. Okay, so in the South Gate, we know that that's the principles, right? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, or stated a different way, don't steal, don't injure anyone. And then, of course, the North Gate, celestial time, reckoning time and reality by the stars, the workshop of the mind, right? Everyone remember that? But we're dealing with circles right now. We're dealing with circles and what, y'all? And triangles. And what? The level and the plumb. You know what? While I'm here, well, I'll let y'all read it. Page 43 of the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. This is why 10 equals 9. And by the way, y'all know the zero is a circle representing the universe. Let me read this off to y'all. Not going to get into too much detail. I'm just going to read it. Maybe I shouldn't. Y'all go read it for yourself. Page 43, Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. If you want to know why 10 is 9, 9, of course, is the Great Mother Typhoon. All right. All of this information is embedded in this text, right? Once we know what we're dealing with. Okay, so let's look at this paragraph right here. Can y'all see it? Hold on. So y'all read this. I'm gonna hold it here for a minute. Okay, pause it on the replay. Let me read it. Had not the Moorish nation established, listen, established the science of geometry, there would be no way of calculating the months, seasons, and years, and the measurement of time and global geography. Upon and above diagram. The Moorish nation established the dollar system and the four quarters of the dollar, which represents the four corners of the earth. The four corners of the earth traces back to the solar four cardinal points. And the four cardinal points trace back to the four stars that make up the Big Dipper in the thigh of the Great Bear. In the Big Dipper, there's the dipper and the handle. Today, that's called the thigh of the Great Bear. This is the Great Mother. Okay. Um, The dollar system was handed down to the Franciscan fathers of North America by the Moorish nation. That is the basic reason why the USA dollar has ranked superior over all other monies of the Christian nations in the world today. Why? Because they aligned it with nature, right? It's aligned with nature, okay? Clear as day. Now, there's one more piece I want to show y'all. Give me 1 second. I don't want to sound self-centered. I don't want to be self-centered, but I always think about this. Page 34. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 is completion, and all of that. I've read this before, but listen. But this pertains to me. One's one's degrees. Okay, let me put it like that. One's degrees. A man or woman's degrees. MA or MS, BA, or so Masters of Arts, Masters of Science, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelors of Science, a dental doctor of dentistry, LLD. I think LLD might be law. PhD, a doctor of philosophy, and Alpha, Beta, Kappa, Gamma to Omega. These are Greek letters. I don't know if he's referring to Greek fraternities. I don't know what he's referring to now. Especially if their skin is dark brown. Listen, especially if their skin is dark brown, means very little to them in a practical manner. So he said these degrees that you have gotten, they don't mean anything. He's probably saying that most of it is dogma. Until, listen, doesn't mean anything until, in other words, once this until happens, it'll have meaning. Until they have absorbed the revelation of the Moorish history and the science of the zodiac as shown in this little book. Okay? I understand that totally because I've been there, done that. I'm more, and I'm not boasting, y'all. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about how I know what he's saying is true. I'm more educated, formally educated than 99.99999% of people on the entire planet Earth. Formal education, okay, across different fields of study: business, entrepreneurship, technology transfer, uh, environmental sciences, medicine. I'm a physician by training, okay. Uh, MBA, management, entrepreneurship, technology transfer, you name it, and the environmental sciences. Okay. Uh, Actually, you know what? Sometimes I meet people who they look at me and they see me, and I don't meet the stereotype um, that they associate with people who look like me. And even to this day, no matter where I'm at in the world, I'm gonna meet some people, a few people every year um, that are suspicious about my education and training, especially people who look like me. But anyway, that's another story. So here's the point. He says all MDs, M dot D dot apostrophe S, all medical doctors, that's what he's saying, possess universal knowledge of the zodiac. And sometimes I wonder, why is it that I know this stuff and that it comes to me? Why is it that I've devoted my life to this. I have a reputation around people who have been around me. They say that my mentality and my lifestyle is like I'm on a mission, like I have a calling. But of course, I don't see it, But they see it. They tell me these things. But I kind of got off topic. But this is something that makes me makes me think because I can relate to it. I have such vast experiences, and I wonder why. Like how? You know what? But it wasn't free. It was through a lot of suffering and sacrifice and pain. But I have such a diverse background, traveling, living amongst different people, different cultures, getting along with people of all walks of life, cultures, nationalities, blah, 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 blah. Such vast, like, I'm educated across so many different fields. Most people who do business can't do science. And most people who do science can't do business. And most people who do science can't do medicine. But I was able to do all quite well. And language. And language. So I never understood because I was never one who was crazy about school. So I want to show y'all something else. Hold on. Don't take it. I'm not boasting or bragging, y'all. I'm talking about me, and my relationship to the material and how I see this in my experience with it. I want to show y'all something. Just give me 1 second. Hello. How are you? Long time no see. You want to say hello? I'm fine. And you? Live stream. You can say hello. Don't be shy. Yeah, say hello. Why? Oh, they like to see people. Okay, y'all. She's shy. Um, maybe I should read this. So y'all check this out. I'll come back to it. I want to find what I want to find first. Maybe if I have time, I'll come back to it. Hold on. Uh, Give me 1 second, y'all. There's so much stuff in here. I mean, when you read this, it just makes you feel happy. Um, I'm seeing all kind of references to um, the circumpolar zodiac as it just jumps out at the page, jumps off the page rather, like boom. You know what? I'm gonna start. I have to start incorporating more of this into it. So here, look, y'all. You see our symbology now. Y'all see the triangle. Now you know where they come from. You see the six-pointed star. Now you know where they come from. We used to look at, well, I guess most of us still look at this as being what? The four cardinal points. And this is the solar zodiac, y'all, with its four cardinal points, the news, and then the 12 zodiac signs situated around it. But elevate this, raise it up, take it straight up in elevation. And this center point becomes the north celestial pole. Okay. And this circle becomes the boundary around that which our ancestors drew a boundary that created everything. Okay. The beginning of time, the beginning of revolution, right? And then circle seven, the thigh of the great bear revolving around the North Pole. Can y'all see that? And then this is that first circle that gets divided into 10 regions and further subdivided into 70 regions, which later gets remixed into the first seven, um, and then 10, and then what is it, 70 generations in the Biblio-Heliotext? Okay. Now push that circle back down, push it back down, lower the elevation, and again, it's the sun in the center. And the circle is the Mazzaroth, and around that circle are the 12 zodiac signs. Okay? So each zodiac sign represents a zodiacal age of 2,160 years. So from the sun to enter into Aries and go through every zodiac sign around the circle, around the Mazzaroth, is going to take approximately 25,920 years, or approximately 26,000 years. So the sun is in one zodiac sign for a zodiacal age, which is 2,160 years. A zodiacal age equals 30 degrees. So the sun will be in 1 degree for 72 years. And this is where we get the 7, the 12, and the 72, or the 72 dual deacons. Y'all see that? Now, the six-pointed star, as we just talked about, this is the circle. It is derived from the circle, from circle 7, right? With the North Pole. And if you draw a line from the North Pole, 2 lines from the North Pole to the circumference, or to the edge of the circle, it forms a triangle. Y'all see the triangle? Hold on. It forms a triangle. Do y'all see that? There's a triangle. So the dot in the center is the throne of God, or the celestial North Pole. So if we draw another line, 2 more lines connecting these 2 lines, we get another triangle. Okay? And they're the same distance or the same volume, right? Do y'all see that? I just made it here. Uh-oh, where is it? Can y'all see it? Where is it? Hold on. Oh, over here. Okay? So these 2 triangles are the same size. Okay? So let's move them together. So now, so for example, let's look at it like this. You see, if we move the two triangles inward, they will form a six-pointed star. Do y'all see it? Or if we want, we can make a pyramid. Okay. And then there's the six-pointed pyramid. How are we generating these shapes? Okay, we can describe these shapes using numbers, algebra and geometry, right? Right? That's how our ancestors navigated algebra and geometry. So we see the origin of the circle here, right? Of the six-pointed star and of these two. This is a square, it's the compass and a square. Now look, I want to show y'all something. Y'all see the line I just made there? What do you see? Don't you see the top cross? You see the ink line I made? Do you see the top cross? Do y'all see the top cross? All right. What if I extend? Do y'all see the traditional Christian cross right there now? Hold on. Hold on. Where is it? Oops. Can y'all see the cross? Okay. With the compass and the square. Of course, the square is the 90-degree angle, the 90-degree angles inside of this circle. Okay, y'all see the 90 where the vertical and horizontal line meet. Okay, the perpendicular, you see, 90 degrees. That's over here. Compass and a square. Okay. Also the top cross. Okay, the top cross. The four living creatures. And in both crosses, God, so to speak, is in the center. Okay, which is the central sun emitting black rays, which reflect off of in the solar zodiac, the black rays reflect off of what we call the sun. And that reflection appears to us in the form of sunlight, which is an illusion, which is Maya, which is not pure energy, it's material. Okay? In the circumpolar zodiac, the dot in the center is the celestial North Pole, the throne of God. And of course, in the solar zodiac projection, the SUN sun is said to be God and the Son, right? The Father and the Son are one. Okay. And of course, we see the pyramid. Okay, you can see where the pyramid came from in the original Sabian or circumpolar zodiac. So here we see the pyramid. So in the solar zodiac, the pyramid, as the sun breaks through the clouds, it forms a pyramid, right? And the finally, what is this one? This is the celestial ship of the north. This is the thigh of the great bear, depicted as a crescent moon or a cup. And then the star right here is what? The pole star. The pole star. So let me show you. Now, y'all don't get mad, all right? Just have an open mind. Don't be judgmental in a negative way. Do your research before you get mad. All right. Before you start calling me all kind of things that are not true, and you destroy your reputation when. So y'all just research it yourself and give us some thought. Just, but of course, cognitive dissonance is something. It's real. Hold on. Let me see. How about this one? I'm having a hard time with the image. So here, can y'all see that? This is the celestial ship of the north. This is the cover of the book, of the original book. There it is. Can y'all see that? See the star in the middle? It doesn't have to be a perfect match because that's not what the symbology is about. But do y'all see the star? This is the celestial ship. It's described in this book. So, uh, this is the original book cover, two-volume work, The Celestial Ship of the North, Volume 1 and 2. All right, y'all? The crescent moon and star. Uh, we have been misled to believe that it's the moon. Well, I guess on some level it is the moon, right? If that's the paradigm you're in. But it traces back to the original zodiac. This is the celestial ship of the north. Notice what color is the book, y'all? Jet black. Okay, jet black. Why? Because the Great Mother is depicted as being what? Intensely black or absolute darkness. Hold on. Hold on. Just try to have an open mind about it, y'all. Hold on. And so here it is. Y'all see the celestial ship of the north? That's why you see Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad rocking the crescent moon and star, remixed in religion as the emblem that we see on the Islamic nation's flag. But this is you. But this is you. All right? The celestial ship of the north. Okay? And all of this is obtained or was obtained. Let me read this paragraph. Did you ever stop to think that the Pope and every ordained priest of the Catholic Church are master astrologers? CM Bay is telling you that they are master astrologers. These master astrologers are the ones who have long suppressed the science of the zodiac, not just the science of the solar zodiac, but they have absolutely suppressed the original zodiac, the circumpolar zodiac, the Great Mother Typhoon and her son Soot, the dog star, Circle 7 and Clock of Destiny. Natural law, do no harm, don't steal, don't injure anyone, and of course, the workshop of the mind, which gets remixed and outsourced as an external God, of course, and uh, uh, celestial time cycles. Okay, y'all? So let's listen to what he has to say. So these master astrologers are the ones who have long suppressed the science of the zodiac by way of negative religious mystery or superstition. Only selfish dictator master astrologers can enslave the human minds to false gods and religion. And we are seeing how they did it. It's a remix. Okay, and the remix always goes back to the circumpolar zodiac, the great Mother Typhoon and her son Soot the dog star. And it requires only unselfish master astrologers to expose the mystic angle of astrologer priesthood dictatorships. And thus, the family of enslaved and thus set the family of enslaved minds free. Now you may continue reading the unselfish astrologers side of the law. Okay? The unselfish, and I'm gonna say right now, I'm one of those unselfish astrologers. I'm not gonna say I'm a master astrologer, because there's a whole lot I don't know. There's a whole lot of books I need to get. But but I am sharing with y'all what I know. Even though a lot of y'all I know talking big trash about me. Hold on. Here we are. Finally found it. So this is in volume 1. Okay, Clock of Destinies, volume 1 by Seton Bay. We're going to look at page 42. 4 plus 2 is 6. Bam. All right, so here we go. And 4 represents the 4 seasons of the year: spring, summer, winter, fall. Of course, that traces back to the 4 corners of the that make up the dipper of the Big Dipper, which is the die of the Great Bear. Having observed the diagram of Earth's axis to its orbit, okay, that would be what? The Tacros, the Earth axis to its orbit, or the ecliptic, reflecting 12 different crescent or moon shaped light and darkness during its annual revolution of 360 degrees. There's the sun. I'm sorry, there's the circle, right? With its 12 degrees. You should by reason become awakened to this fact. You yourself are the so called great secret and password and mystery. We're going to talk about this mystery in a second. We are going to talk about this mystery in a second. You yourself are the so called great secret and password and mystery. Remember when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, but paraphrase, he said, if you were to ask me what you should study after you studied everything, I would tell you go back and study yourself. This is what he's talking about. Because if you know who you are, that changes your concept of self. Okay, so when I hear black, I don't think all of the negative stuff that's put on black. I'm thinking black associated with the Great Mother Typhoon. I've corrected that concept in my mind. I'm not saying that you should go around calling yourself black. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. Not at all, because you're finished. You are finished if you're calling yourself black. Because what? Black is dead in science. But this is in the solar zodiac. So you have to elevate, transcend above the solar zodiac, transcend, go back home to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, to the circumpolar zodiac, science, technology, engineering, architecture, medicine, law. Okay, the what is it? The seven liberal arts. I don't remember. Okay, science. The Great Mother Typhoon, of course, workshop of the mind, bending reality through the intentional use of your mind, faculties of visualization and imagination. Intentional use, which means skillful use, which means there's learning and training involved, a re-education, because you're tricked out of it, brainwashed out of it. through your indoctrination, right, as you are raised up. So he continues. The daughters and sons of the quote unquote lily white nations of the Roman order, has been obligated to die before they awaken the Asiatics of the U.S.A. to the scientific rudiments of the foregone Islam law, I self law, and mastered nature, the Hermetic laws, the lesser natural laws. Okay? The writer, he's talking about himself as an Asiatic in harmony with his law. In other words, C.M. Bay is saying what? He had the mindset of his ancient foremothers and forefathers. Circle 7, clock of destiny, natural law, do no harm, going into the workshop of the mind to bend reality. Whatever it is you would ask God to do, you do it yourself. Okay? Celestial time cycles, all of that. Let's continue. The preceding division of 9 and 12 by the figure 3 represents the circle 7. That explains a lot, right, y'all? Right? 3, when was the Sabbath changed from Saturday to Sunday? In the year 363. 3 plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. Is 12. The preceding divisions of 9 and 12 by the figure 3 represent the circle 7. Between 363 to 364. 3 plus 3 is 9, right? Plus 4 is 13. 12 constellations, 12 zodiac signs, and one sun. 13, what does 13 mean? 13, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, shiny, glorious, sonified, a lot of black rays, an overwhelming amount of black rays reflecting off of the sun, sonified, reflecting off of the deity or off of you, off of Moses. Glorious. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Let your kingdom come. What kingdom? Kingdom of animals, zoo, zodiac. Let the precision and the complete obedience that the zodiac, that the constellations give to nature, let that complete domination come down and dominate or be used to dominate the minds, perceptions, and activities of the Goyim. In other words, your rulers, your oppressors are saying, yeah, bring this solar zodiac down. That power that holds the whole universe intact, keeps it moving with precision, no changes that ain't supposed to happen. Complete control over these heavenly bodies. What he's saying is that give us that same power through Jesus Christ and Yahweh Jehovah, and give us complete control and domination over men, over the autochthonous Moors. This is what that prayer means. So 13 is a number that's lucky for them because it gives them complete control and authority. In other words, jurisdiction over the autochthonous rightful heirs or heirs apparent. They have you in bondage, economic bondage, mental bondage, physical bondage, have you in a feudal system and you don't even know it and you even thank them for it. That's how far out of your mind and lost you are. Black niggas, lawless. And I'm not being nasty, but it is what it is. That's what that prayer means. Okay, so 13, yeah, 13 is unlucky for you, but it is the greatest luck, the highest aspiration for your oppressors, your gods. Okay, let's continue. The preceding division of 9 and 12 by the figure 3 represents the circle 7. Okay, the science of Islam, I, self law, and master. Circle 7, circumpolar zodiac, I, self law, and master. What is this? I, self law, am master. Laws, laws that govern the universe. These are the Hermetic laws and the lesser laws, the physics. Okay, and what are we using in physics? What do we use to describe natural phenomena? Numbers. Okay, well, let's deal with the numbers. 3 and 4 equal 7. Thus, the great mastery of the world has passed away to never return. I, self law, am master, or Islam, or I am. We went through this. Remember, I am fire in the sky, celestial. I am, and by the way, which is Jake and O from the devil's pulpit. All right. When we employ the phrase, quote unquote, I am, we have expressed the highest phrase of creation, namely ourselves. I, self law, am master. These are the laws that govern the universe, the Hermetic laws, which symbolizes the letter one, which symbolizes the letter I or the number one. Let us face the facts as follows. Now I'm going to get to this, okay? The Asiatic woman, quote unquote, is God, and I am the son of God. I am, remember the fires in the sky. The woman is the great mother Typhoon, who does what? Converts consciousness into fires in the sky, into stars. Clear? So I am the son of God. Since your mama ain't got a daddy, and you ain't got a daddy either, yet she has a son, she's depicted as intensely black or absolute darkness. You have her genetics. So what complexion are you? Black, absolute darkness. But we're talking celestially and energetically. Okay, so connotatively, they took that and degraded it into skin complexion. Do y'all see what's happening in the solar zodiac projection? They degraded it. Y'all remember page 20 to 24 of the Clock of Destiny? How they defamed and degraded the great mother Typhoon and her son? Well, this is part of it, with what they did with your conception of what black is. Okay, and then they made their own policies, the black codes, on how to deal with autochthonous Moors who have no nationality, who are in violation of nature, meaning that they are out of harmony. They're not following the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. So let me show y'all. Is it? Yeah, page 24, it says this. It says the biblical account of the war in heaven is explained astronomically when Typhoon, the great mother, and her son Sut, or the northern constellation of the Bear and the glowing dog star in the south. The clock of destiny, y'all, proved false in their time reckoning. causing their what? Causing their own degradation, their own downfall. Of course, they didn't do it. The Solarites did it. Let's continue. Let's move down some. Same paragraph, a little bit above the middle. It was the Egyptian Osirians who cast out and condemned. Y'all look these up. Look up the legal meanings of cast out and condemned. It was the Osirians, Osiris, sun worship, Isis, Osiris and Ra. Okay, it was the Osirians, worshippers of the sun, or people who what? Who wanted to bring in a whole new era or epoch of time, where they determine time and reality by the sun. A whole different concept, a whole different mindset, a whole different concept of life. Narrow. And of course, they put everybody in bondage through dogmatic religion. That was the goal. It was the Egyptian Osirians. So now we're dealing with Egypt, not before Egypt, not Sabians. It was the Osirians who cast out and condemned the ancient typhoon. They cast out and condemned the circumpolar zodiac, which had existed for hundreds of thousands, millions, billions, an undeterminable, unquantifiable span of time up until then. They cast it out and destroyed. Listen to what it says. And who changed the star god, this is Sit the dog star in the south, into Sebek Ra, the sun god. When did that happen? Around 3,600, around 363 to 364 AD at the Council of Laodicea. This didn't happen some 4,000 years ago. That's BS. They then placed upon his head a pair of horns, and he became the ram or lamb, symbolized in the zodiacal sign Aries. Okay, so now Aries needs another in. There's Libra comes in. The 10 becomes 12 now. And when the SUN sun passed into Aries, Aries became typical of the change from one pole star to another. Okay, so how long did it take for one pole star to occupy that region next to the North Pole? 25,920 years, approximately 26,000 years. They just moved that whole uh, structure down. Okay, that's all they did. Um, the same size circle. Everything's moving at the same rate. Okay, this casting out of the great mother took place, listen, took place when theology turned many of these ancient myths into religious history. See, now we're talking about Council of Laodicea, 363, 364 AD. Religious chaos resulted, and the past was almost lost in obscurity. But strange to relate, followers of the ancient Typhonian cult in the first Immaculate Conception, this is the circumpolar zodiac, are spread all over the world today, though many of them are in ignorance of the foundation of this religious belief. So I see this all the time in Vietnam. Like I see the wheel of life, the circle with the divisions. In Cambodia, I see stuff they don't have a clue about it, but they are involved in these religions, dogmatic religions, but they don't know the celestial origin. Now let's go back to CNB. The science, we were getting at the science of, we're on page 42, 4 plus 2 is 6. Y'all see? All right. So here's what it said. Well, let me show you the page. So this is what I was reading from earlier, CMB Volume 1. By the way, the zero represents the universe. The one represents the sun, sun. Okay, and each of the numbers, they have angles. Two has two angles, three has three angles, so on and so forth. All right, that's how they got their names. Take a look. Okay, so let's begin. If you should attempt to establish an argument against the Asiatic woman is God, and I am the Son of God. Okay, so zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, back to zero. We use numbers to describe shapes. Okay, algebra and geometry. Each number here corresponds to a letter of the alphabet, but not zero, right? Zero represents nothing. And of course, zero is conceptual because there's no such thing. There can never be nothing. It's an impossibility. Why? Because consciousness always was, always is, and always will be. So there can never be nothing. There is intelligence everywhere. It can never be otherwise. Okay. So 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is C, 4 is D, 5 is E, 6 is F, 7 is G, 8 is H, 9 is I is 1. I is the sun. Okay. 1 is A. I is the sun. I also represents consent, agreement, right? You have an unlimited ability to contract. It can't be taken away from you. So let's continue. If you attempt to establish an argument against this absolute code of mathematical and algebraical facts, then you might be considered as the living dead, that is, mentally dead or insane. It reminds me of when the man is laying down, when the sun is laying down, his head is in Aries. Well, due to religious mystery, we're going to get into the mystery. 95% of the population of the US will attempt to establish an argument against the preceding absolute facts. The power of religious superstition has unfortunately made the US an insane institution. He's saying out of harmony with reality or with nature. Highly educated, holding titles of degrees such as AB, MA, PhD, LLD, SB, and SM. All of them out of their mind, meaning totally disconnected from nature, right? But unfortunately, lost for lack of common sense and rational reasoning. Have you ever stopped to think that common sense is the very height of science? I couldn't agree with that more. Uh, so hold on. He has a paragraph about our culture being geometry. That's what I'm trying to find. Okay, maybe I'm close. Here we are. Page 39 and 40. Huh? 39 and 40, y'all? 3 and the 9 again? Do y'all see? Hold on. Everybody see that? The circle is the universe, or circle 7. Hold on. Okay, so we looked at this in volume 2 also, right? So I'm not going to go over it again. What page is it? Page 39, the 3 and the 9 again. Okay, guys? All right. And the description, he's going to give us some text, some context on it. Is on what? Page 40. 4 plus 0 is 4. The 4 stars that make up the Big Dipper in the celestial North Pole circumpolar zodiac. All right, these are the breadcrumbs. Okay, so now let's look at this. Page 39, last paragraph. The above cut, the illustrations that we looked at above, right? The square, the universe, the 4 corners, and then the triangle, okay? The cut above constitute constitutes the scientific symbol of the 12 signs of the zodiac. They're often referred to as the tools of the master builders of civilization, which simply, and by the way, y'all, okay, we have been taught that civilization is, this might offend a lot of people, what I'm about to say. We've been taught that civilization is the best thing, right? And that uh, not being civilized is bad, is animalistic, okay? But let's look at this word. The term civilization comes from the Latin word civitas, meaning city. And it originally referred to a society made up of cities. The word evolved in the 18th century to describe a state of being civilized, a state of living in cities as opposed to farms. The word evolved in the 18th century to describe a state of being civilized, contrasting with barbarity and implying cultural and technical development. Implying. That don't mean it's true. So what this is saying is that if you live on a farm, an agricultural or rural area, this is saying by definition, you're not civilized. You're not civilized unless you move into a city. Well, who moved us into cities? Was that to our advantage or disadvantage? It was to our disadvantage. Because when you move into a city, you become dependent on people other than yourself to get your food. Well, you don't have your own farm. You need to buy your food from other people. It has nothing to do. How much? Okay. It has nothing to do with your education level, with your morality, with your conduct. Nothing to do with that, as we see here. Okay? It has nothing to do with whether or not you are harming and injuring people or whether you have a personality where you love helping and giving. The term civilization comes from the Latin word civitas, meaning city, and it originally referred to a society made up of cities. That's it, y'all. We have not, oh, thank you. We have been oppressed in cities. In cities, you're dependent. Worse than that, there are rulers. Okay? All right? So we've been miseducated about this notion of city. Let's see what we get in online etymology for civilization. Civilization, noun, 1704, in a now obsolete sense. Law, quote unquote, law, which makes a criminal process civil. From civil plus ization, suffix ization. The meaning civilized condition, state of being reclaimed from the rudeness of savage life, is recorded by 1772, probably from French civilization, serving as an opposite to barbarity, Berber, Tartarian, huh, y'all? And a distinct word from civility, as if from civilized plus Asian, the sense of a particular human, well, let's say Han Ullman, society in a civilized condition considered as a whole over time is from 1857. What was happening in history at this time? They were robbing us of our birthright, putting us in physical bondage, and nearing 1857 in North America, we were at the verge of the end of physical bondage, right? And the introduction of a new form of bondage in the form of feudalism, the 14th Amendment. Yeah, this is when they robbed us of all of our land, okay, and eventually herded us into more and more cities, okay? Civility, formally the substantive of both civil and civilized, the latter of which it was not likely to suggest, except by help of its context, was judiciously relieved of one of its meanings by civilization. Fritz Ward Hall, quote unquote, Modern English, 1873. Barbarity, 1560s, want of civilizations, meaning no big cities. From Latin, barbarus, see barbarian, noun, plus ity, suffix ity, the meaning savage cruelty. Inhumane conduct is recorded from 1680. Okay, y'all? Civil adjective, relating to civil law or life, relating to law that governs how you operate in a city, pertaining to the internal affairs of a state. Okay, y'all? From Old French, civil relating to civil law, 13th century. Okay, all right. I paid already.
Already?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can they collect the call?
Yeah, I already paid. Yeah. Okay. And directly from civilis, quote unquote, relating to society, pertaining to public life, relating to the civil order, befitting a citizen. Oh, we're talking about subjects now. Hence, by extension, quote unquote, popular, affordable, courteous, alternative, adjectival derivative of civis, townsman, see city, meaning not barbarous, meaning not Moorish, meaning you what? Not living on your own land in an agricultural community, meaning not barbarous, civilized, is from the 1550s, specifically quote unquote relating to the Commonwealth as securely organized, as opposed to military or ecclesiastical by 1610s, meaning quote unquote relating to the citizen in his relation to the Commonwealth or to fellow citizens, also is from the 1610s. The word civil has about 12 different meanings. You see the astrology there? It has 12 different meanings. It is applied to all manner of objects which are perfectly disparate. As opposed to criminal, it means law, not criminal. As opposed to ecclesiastical, civil means all law, not ecclesiastical. As opposed to military, it means all law, not military, and so on. This is coming from John Austin Lectures on Jurisprudence in 1873. And it goes on and on and on. All right? Civil literally applies to one who fulfills the duty of a citizen. Okay, a citizen where? Living in a big city. Living in a big city, how you relate to people around you, your relationship to your property, so on and so forth, your status in a city, not rural area. It may mean simply not rude or observant of external courtesies of intercourse, or that would be how you deal with people in business, right, etc. Or quick to do and say gratifying and complimentary things, courteous, literally expressive that styles of politeness, okay, which belong to courts. A courteous man is one who is graceful in his addresses and manner, one who exhibits a union of dignified complaisance and kindness. The word also applies to sincere kindness and attention. Civil case, as opposed to criminal, is recorded from 1610. Y'all see the time frame that we're dealing with? It's not ancient. Civil liberty, quote unquote, natural liberty restrained by law only as for only so far as it is necessary for the public good. So this has to do with living in cities, y'all. All right. But anyway, civilized 1600s to bring out of barbarianism, introduced to order, and civil organization, bring them into cities. Okay, y'all. So I'm getting this from Etymology Online. All of that came from Etymology Online. Okay, so we have to rethink our concepts around what we. Of course, when we're dealing with law and civics, but from what they're saying is uncivilized is not a bad thing because our ancestors lived in a rural environment. Look at what happened with the ancient Egyptians when they put us in cities. Who are our own people? Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the Moors. This place is closed. I gotta run, y'all. Put your comments in the comments section. No offense here. If you think I'm wrong about something, put it in the comments section and I will research it. Okay. And I'm not going to come back, uh, with any foolishness. That's not my personality. So if you think I'm wrong about something, let me know and I'll research it. And if I am, I'll correct it. Or if I need some information, y'all give it to me. Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all the more. Shalom.